Hi, ArcfieldWeather.com meteorologist Paul Dorian here on Thursday morning, May the 2nd. Still quite an active weather pattern across the nation over the next 10 days or 2 weeks or so. Plenty of rainfall across most of the nation, and we'll also take a look at snowfall over the next 10 days. Still quite significant across many of those higher elevation locations in the western U.S., specifically Sierra Nevada mountains of eastern California still have a lot of accumulating snow on the way, and here we are into the early part of the month of May. This is a forecast map from last night's conventional run of the GFS, the 00 run for the total precipitation amounts. This is liquid equivalent precipitation over the next 10 days, and really the only area of the country that's kind of spared of any rainfall is out here over the southwestern states. Not too unusual for that to happen. They're relatively dry this time of year. Later on in the summer season, the monsoonal rains start to show up, so the southwestern states, despite the fact that they're a desert out there in the southwest U.S., they get some decent thunderstorm activity latter part of the summer season as a result of monsoonal flow of air with a lot of moisture riding in from the Pacific Ocean, even some from the Gulf of Mexico. Again, that's monsoonal rains later on in the summer season. But let's clear the deck here and take a look here at the next 10 days. Look at this. All this purple area represents 2 inches or more over the next 10 days, and it's not only in the eastern half of the nation but out across from northern California north and east out into Montana. Quite a significant rainfall amounts here showing up for the next 10 days. So it could be a dry time of the year, but in this particular case, plenty of rainfall and some snow. We'll see that in a moment here over the next 10 days. Indeed, in terms of snowfall, quite significant across much of the Rocky Mountain states, especially the northern Rocky Mountain states. Any area that you see green here represents a foot or more of snow. And this is also over the next 10 days between this morning, Thursday morning, and Sunday, May 12th here. The ending date is shown right here. This is really the 10-day forecast map. Take a look here. Sierra Nevada mountains, a foot or more over the next 10 days in many areas. The Colorado Rockies across Wyoming, Montana, and into the interior Pacific Northwest. Quite significant snowfall continues here right into the middle part of the month of May, and there will be some snow also across much of Canada, southeastern Canada, south central Canada, and all the way into British Columbia. Some significant snowfall up there as well. Again, this is over the next 10 days. Well, I mentioned up front an active weather pattern, and indeed we'll just kind of quickly go through the vorticity maxima here over the next 10 days, 2 weeks or so, again using last night's 0Z run of the GFS. And again, this time of the year we could have a relatively dry pattern across the nation with the overall jet stream pushed northward already up into Canada, but that is not the case here. Starting off today with a vigorous upper level wave here over Montana, the western part of North Dakota. And again, we'll just kind of quickly push through this and watch all the activity here as we go through the next several days. Here we are now into the early part of the upcoming weekend. An upper level system still over the northern plains, and another strong system headed for the west coast here, especially Washington, Oregon, and northern California here. And kind of dives to the south and east. So a vigorous wave here in the middle of the weekend up across the northern plains, and one approaching and moving into the western U.S. That just slides across the nation. Again, ends up over the northern plains. This is now the early part of next week. We'll just go quickly ahead. Still, you can even see kind of the main jet stream here cutting across the middle part of the nation here. Again, this time of the year, that main jet stream can already be kind of pushed to the north, making for drier conditions across the U.S., but that is not happening quite yet. We're all the way out here to May 9th here, and again a similar pattern of a wave of vorticity maxima over the northern plains, and another one over Northern California. It's somewhat unusual for Pacific storms to continue to pound away at California here over the first half of the month of May, but that indeed appears to be the case here all the way out now to May 10th, May 11th. Look at this continuation of an active weather pattern here. About 9 or 10 days from right now, this is a strong wave of energy over the Great Lakes. Another one over California here. And this really intensifies, and kind of a cold blast moves into the northeast U.S. in about 10 days or so. We're at this time all the way at 10 days, Sunday, May 12th. Well, let's walk through the surface maps again using the 0Z run of the GFS. Right off the bat, notice some cold enough air for snow to continue here across southwestern Canada, represented here in the blue, and even interior sections of the Pacific Northwest. There could be some severe weather today, by the way, out across the nation's heartland, especially over Texas. Again, we have this kind of pattern we've been talking about recent weeks here, with warm, humid air flowing northward here out of the Gulf of Mexico right into the middle of the nation, the Mississippi Valley region. At the same time, some colder air is pushing south and east to the north and west, and this sets up that clash zone. And today, it will be right in this region here. Again, the chance of some severe weather. Now, let's just move forward here in time, and we'll continue to see the active weather pattern. Here we go into this evening and then into the day on Friday. Now, before I push to Friday here, let me just say that today, very warm again in the Mid-Atlantic region. There's plenty of early morning fog and clouds around in that D.C. to Philadelphia to New York City corridor. That should burn away over the next couple of hours, yielding mostly sunny skies and very warm conditions this afternoon. In fact, possibly even a record breaker in, for example, the D.C. metro region. This afternoon, record highs are 91 at Reagan National Airport, DCA, 88 at Dulles, IAD, and both of those were set, by the way, in 2018. The afternoon temperatures will flirt with those records in the D.C. metro region, right around the 90-degree mark. Again, 91 at Reagan Airport, 88 at Dulles, in possible record-breaking territory this afternoon, well up in the 80s in Philly and New York City as well. But a big change by Friday. Here we are on Friday, and what happens is a low-level flow of air starts to develop out of the east to northeast. Basically, a backdoor cool front comes through from the northeast to the south and west. And anytime you get an east or northeast flow this time of the year, it can drop temperatures in a hurry. The ocean temperature, the western Atlantic Ocean, still relatively cool, certainly compared to the mid and upper 80s that are will be the atmospheric temperatures this afternoon. But again, by tomorrow, that east to northeast flow starts to set up here in the I-95 corridor region, and temperatures today probably the low mid 80s in New York City, probably confined to the middle 60s for highs on Friday in New York City, and quite a cool weekend coming in DC, Philadelphia, New York City. Let's push forward here and take a look at the, again, active weather pattern. Here we go into the early part of the upcoming weekend. Showers are possible throughout the Mid-Atlantic region, both Saturday and Sunday, to go along with those quite cool conditions. And take a look out here in the western coast area. Snow at those higher elevations and significant rainfall all the way down to Northern California, even though we are now into the month of May when it generally starts to dry out here. But let's move forward here. And again, pretty lousy weekend coming to the Mid-Atlantic region. This is Saturday night into Sunday morning. Some rain is likely Saturday night, Sunday morning throughout the Mid-Atlantic, Northeast. And again, cool conditions with that low-level flow of air developing tomorrow out of the east and northeast, and it'll stick around right through the upcoming weekend, causing some cool conditions. Plenty of rainfall late Saturday night into Sunday morning across Texas and Oklahoma. And look at all this blue showing up here over those higher elevations of the interior west on Sunday. Let's move forward here. Again, continuation of an active weather pattern. Here we go into the day on Monday. There will be the return of some sunshine on Monday, D.C., Philadelphia, New York City. Anytime you get sunshine versus cloudy conditions this time of the year, that could boost temperatures quite a bit. Indeed, they'll go back well up into the 70s on Sunday, D.C., Philadelphia, New York City, but an active and chilly weather pattern out across the interior western states with some snow. Again, if you're a skier, the Rocky Mountains continue to look quite good over the next couple of weeks here, especially Colorado, north and west, Wyoming, Montana, Utah, even into Nevada, and certainly the Sierra Nevadas, California continue to get significant snowfall. Here we go into the day on Tuesday. This is now early next week. This is a significant storm system right here, 976 millibar low, right on the Canadian-U.S. border here, northwestern part of North Dakota. 976 low. Look at that pressure gradient field around it. That may be a news-making event in terms of some damaging winds. And again, we have this influx of warm, humid air all the way up into the upper part of the Midwest here, kind of setting the stage for potential severe weather early to middle part of next week, with colder air pressing south and east across the northern Rockies. But watch out for this storm system around next Tuesday in terms of its potential for making some news with a pressure gradient field like that depicted here by last night's GFS model. It even intensified by that time all the way down to 973 low. And again, some snow, cold enough for some snow across those northern Rocky Mountain states here. Still an inclement weather pattern here, an active weather pattern with additional chances of showers next week in the eastern part of the nation. And again, as we saw, the next 10 days, other than the southwestern U.S., almost the rest of the nation will get in on some of the action with a decent amount of rainfall in many areas, more than a couple of inches. And again, in those higher elevations of the western U.S., plenty of snowfall to go over the next week to 10 days or so. That's it for now. For ArcfieldWeather.com, this has been meteorologist Paul Dorian.